I'm still really undecided.
Yeah, it's
I'm
quite
trying to work it
confusing,
out.
isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's really confusing what to do next.
Are you worried about potentially coming off it and then the weight comes back on?
Yeah, and I don't want to put the weight back on. I've done such amazing work on myself in the last year and a half that I don't want to undo that now.
Around 1.6 million of us are using weight loss injections in the UK, with millions more interested in starting, and that figure is set to rise. I'm on a mission to cut through all of the confusion and misinformation when it comes to weight loss injections. We're going to hear from women without judgment as they share the hacks, tips and behaviours they've adopted before bringing in bold expert guidance that doesn't dismiss their choices but helps unpack what's actually happening in the body. One of the biggest questions when people are coming to the end of their weight loss journey is, do I have to stay on it forever? How do I know when I'm done? Or will I put the weight back on? It's not just the health aspect, but social and personal as well. The pressure to maintain your new weight is huge. When each person has their own reaction and experience, how do you know what the outcome will be for you? In this episode, we're going to meet Debra. Debra has achieved her goal and feels really good, even stopping for a while. We're going to hear her honest fears about potentially losing control and going backwards. Along with her newfound confidence, we hear how it's changed her outlook on life and her attitude towards diet, discovering what works for her and her plans for the future. So Debra, you have been on and off different weight loss medications, which I'm really interested in. So let's just start from the beginning. When did you decide to start taking the injection?
So I decided to start in January 2025. That's when I originally started my journey.
So what, about 18 months ago?
Yeah, about 18 months ago now.
And how much did you weigh then?
I weighed just under 13 stone originally.
Okay, and you're quite diddy as well, aren't you?
Yeah, petite.
So for you just felt too big?
Yeah, I just felt I'd got up to about a size 16 UK. I just felt too big. I wasn't happy with the way that I looked. And
So while you were on the injection, you managed to get down to your goal weight, is that right?
I did, yes. I managed to get to my goal weight at 9.5 stone, but then I continued to lose the weight. So I ended up being about 8.5, maybe 8.7 stone. So I got a little bit under.
So you carried on and you carried on losing, but actually 8.5 stone, what are you, 5'3"?
Yeah.
So you're still within your healthy BMI.
Yeah, it was still considered healthy and, everything. I just didn't feel happy with the way that I looked then. I just wasn't happy with my appearance when I'd actually lost that much.
So what did you decide to do? Because then at that point you switched onto a different med. Why?
Yeah, so I switched on to a different medication because I thought I need to think about my exit plan now and my maintenance plan. Also, I share my journey online as well. I share it with my followers. So I thought, what does it look like for people long term to maintain the weight? I was on that for about 2 months. It just didn't feel the same to me, and I just wasn't really, feeling the same with it.
In what way?
I just felt like the food noise had crept back in. I felt like I was putting on a little bit of weight. I was putting on a few pounds. And I was just getting the cravings that I didn't want to experience. So at that point, I thought, right, I'm just going to do it alone now. So it got to about November. I'd been on the other one for about 2 months.
Yeah. So you just stopped it?
I totally just stopped it. I thought, right, it's Christmas. I now need to think about how I continue my life maintaining this weight on my own, with the habits that I've formed over the period of my journey.
Well, that's a really good point, because did you change your lifestyle and your diet and your nutrition while you were on the journey?
I did, absolutely. One thing I noticed when I stopped the medication, my cravings were still quite strong, even though I'd changed my lifestyle completely.
So when we say maintenance journey, you wanted to stay at 10 stone? Or you wanted to lose a little bit more?
I wanted to lose a bit more. I wanted to get back to 9.5 and then maintain that.
So how did you do that?
So when I went back onto Manjaro, over a period of 4 to 6 weeks, I quickly got back to my goal of 9.5 stone. But then I maintained it by totally tracking, my calories and keeping up that to be able to stay at 9.5 stone.
So you've stayed on a low dose Manjaro, but you were tracking your food and doing your exercise as well. So those lifestyle changes too.
Yeah.
And where are you at now? Are you at 9.5 stone?
I actually haven't weighed myself for about a month or so because now I'm trying to take the approach that I'm just going on how I look and how I feel. And like at the minute, I feel great. So
Well, you look fabulous. And
thank you.
do you feel good? You're
I,
saying I feel great.
yeah, I feel good within myself.
Brilliant.
Hmm.
That's absolutely brilliant. So, are you worried about coming off? Or have you got that question of, do I come off? When do I come off? Am I supposed to come off? Does that go on in your head?
Absolutely. That, like, I ask myself that every day. I don't know now what the future holds. At the moment, I'm quite comfortable staying on Manjaro for maintenance. Lots of people are happy to maintain on Manjaro, but I don't know what the future looks like for me now. I don't know what's next.
Have you done your own research online as well in terms of what other people are saying about, do you stay on? Do you come off? How do you maintain this?
Yeah.
What sort of voices are you hearing
Do you know
on
what?
the internet?
There's so many mixed opinions online. Some people are absolutely for maintaining long term and they say that it's great and there's a lot of health benefits. And some people are like, at some point you would have to come off the medication and maintain it yourself. So I'm still really undecided.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
I'm
quite
trying to work it
confusing,
out.
isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's really confusing what to do next.
And are you worried about that? Are you worried about potentially coming off it and then the weight comes back on?
Yeah, that's an absolute worry of mine. I don't want to put the weight back on. I've done such amazing work on myself in the last year and a half that I don't want to undo that now.
Did you tell people that you were going to start on weight loss injections?
I didn't at first, no. I told my partner only, and I told my friend at work who'd originally spoken to me about it, but I decided not to tell anyone at first
Why?
because I was just a little bit worried about what they'd think,
Did you think you were going to get judged?
I thought I were going to get judged. Like, there were a lot of opinions back then when I started in January 2025. And I thought people are going to be worried about me. I thought my family would be really worried about me. And I didn't want to worry them unnecessarily as well. So I thought I'll just tell my partner and keep it between us. If it works, then I'll tell people. And if it doesn't, then nobody ever knew, and I won't continue with it.
Yeah, but it worked because you lost 4.5 stones.
Yeah,
So, I mean, at what point were
exactly.
you saying to people, okay, do you know what? Yes, I'm using a weight loss medication.
So, it only took me a couple of months to start telling people. When it started to become noticeable, I then had to sit, and I'm not a liar. So when people were asking me, I just could not tell them anything but the truth.
Yeah.
And then I decided to share it online.
Absolutely. So break that stigma completely and go,
Yeah,
do you know what? I look fabulous. I'm going to share this with everybody and tell people, educate other people about my journey.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
yeah.
And how much did you change in terms of being more aware of your diet and your nutrition and actually what you were putting into your body now?
I feel so much more educated on what I'm actually putting into my body. I didn't have any awareness of what food I should be consuming, the supplements I should be taking. And now I just feel, so much healthier because I'm eating and consuming the right things.
So I know that you've got loads of questions
Yeah.
about, should I stay on this medication forever? Should I come off it? If I do come off it, what then? So shall we get you in front of Dr. Sam, who can answer some of those questions for you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Come on then. So, Sam, Debra has been on and off the injections for about 18 months, and you've done incredibly well, haven't you? You've lost, 4.5 stone?
Yeah, 4.5 stone.
Amazing. And not only that, she's changed her lifestyle, she's changed her diet and done everything right. But you're just a bit worried about staying on the injections long term, aren't you?
Yeah, what I wanted to speak to you about is how realistic is it for me to stay on long term, on the injections? What does that kind of look like for me in the future?
Okay, so firstly, congratulations. You sound like you've done brilliantly and you've done it in a really healthy way by really looking at lifestyle factors. And let me just say that, all the research, everything, every large study shows that in the long term, we really need that wraparound, holistic look, behavioural change as we lose weight and go towards that healthier way of being for life, for long term. So that's really the best way to look at weight loss in this very holistic sense. So your question is all about coming off the medication that you've been on that has supported you all this time. So it's a good question. You can stay on it in your maintenance phase 1. Okay, so don't worry. But you might, because you have made all these changes and perhaps created new healthier habits, you've realise that you actually enjoy eating more healthily in a more balanced way, and that you sense in your body the changes it's made. Maybe your confidence, maybe your energy levels, maybe you don't have the aches and pains and joint pains that you had previously. It's a great position to be in, to acknowledge all of those steps, and not just the numbers on the scales, but you were talking about actually the way you feel in yourself is completely different. So acknowledging that. Maintaining, I can understand that this is a point of a bit of anxiety for a lot of people. So how do I keep hold of this? So your habits are what are going to keep you going, right? So that the habits that you've already adopted. So I guess it is about how confident do you feel about maintaining the habits that you have created.
It's kind of easier said than done, isn't it? I mean, how confident are you about slipping back?
I'm like 50-50. I'm very unsure. Like, I really want to keep maintaining.
Yeah.
If I could do it myself, that'd be brilliant. But there's a part of me as well that fears that I can't.
Yeah. I mean, if it does come to that point where you want to stop the medication, there will always have to be a bit of a leap of faith. But, you having that strong foundation is the best way to do it. However, what you could think about is if you were to stop the medication, some of that appetite will return, okay? But you've got your strategies in place, so being confident in your strategies is really important. And also, understand that there may well be a little bit of regain, okay, in the initial weeks, okay? And how much of that are you going to be okay with?
Because you came off, didn't you, just before Christmas, and then the pounds crept back on. I mean, it was the worst time to come off, Deborah, but the pounds crept back on, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They crept back on. So that's why I made the decision to then go back to Manjaro for a maintenance. But, can you do that in periods of your life where you come off and then you go back on from time to time?
It's a really good question, and we do get asked this a lot. And you're an adult, you can make whatever decision you like, okay? So it's up to you. In general, if you are committed to a weight loss journey, I would say it's probably not going to help you to take a break from the medication if you haven't yet achieved your goal, if you're not feeling, this is it. I think that decision to stop the medication and maintain, because my habits are flipping solid, I've nailed it, I can do this going forwards. I think it's a bit of a risky decision. And it's a risky decision in terms of weight regain, especially at a time like Christmas, or we get asked around holiday times, or for example, if we go to a resort that's all inclusive, or a cruise or something like that, then there is going to be temptation around you 24/7. Do you really want to put yourself in that position when you have a really important goal in mind that is important to you? So I guess it's weighing that up and really thinking about it before you do it.
So you're basically saying you can go on and off the meds, but if you are going to come off the meds, don't do it at a time where you're going to be really indulging, because you're going to just slip backwards.
There's going to be temptation everywhere. Do you want to do that to yourself when you've achieved so much? Up to you, of course, you can decide.
The best advice probably is to titrate down rather than just stop.
That probably is the kindest way to do it for yourself, if you can do it that way.
So Deborah, even though you're on a low dose of the medication, and even though you've changed a lot of your eating habits and you're really healthy, do you ever still get those cravings that sometimes come in?
Yeah, I do. Like, I still get cravings. And I think over the last month or so, because I've been on maintenance for 5 months, I have noticed at times them cravings have intensified just a little bit. So I think it'd be good to know how to manage that.
We need to really look at what you're eating over the day. So you've probably got some great habits in place. So just coming back to basics, building your 3 meals around a protein source. So, for example, a good breakfast could be based on Greek yogurt with some granola, maybe some berries, maybe some nuts in there. You could do smoked salmon and spinach. You could do an omelette and add some veggies to that omelette if you'd like. So, knowing how to build your plate is really important, because what the key is to keep your blood sugar nice and stable, so you're not having big spikes and dips in your sugars over the day, which leads your body and your physiology to push you towards the more sugary, quick fix, let's get our blood sugar back up again.
So that's the craving, is that your blood sugar's dipped, so then you're needing glucose, basically. So Deborah, just out of interest, do you still weigh yourself every day?
No, I don't weigh myself. I used to weigh myself once a week, and I now don't. And since I started my maintenance journey, because I just go on more what I look like and what I feel like in clothes, and that's what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, I think that's really great, and it's obviously you've just know your body a bit more, and you're just
Mhm.
like, you know what, I like how I look, and I like how I feel. That's a great way to do it. I think also it's great that you have a kind of log, because you've been quite public with your journey, that you know you
Mhm.
have this kind of memoir of your steps along the way, which is fantastic for you.
Mhm.
And I would really encourage people to almost keep a journal or somehow document how you're going, because we often forget how
Mhm.
we felt right at the beginning, and where we were in our mood and how we felt in our bodies at the start. So I think it can be a real motivational aid to have that diary, that kind of you know, to really log our progress, so that we can be really proud of ourselves when
Yeah.
we hit our mini goals, and when we achieve the bigger goals, that we can see the progression, and that we know that this is, you know, this has taken time and effort, and well done me. Look what
Yeah.
I've been through, and how I've changed, and you know, it's worth it.
That's a really good point. I mean, Deborah, well done you.
Thank you.
4.5 stone, you've changed your eating habits, you've changed your lifestyle. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Coming off weight loss treatment isn't the end of the journey, it's just a different one. Deborah, like so many other women out there, has a potentially daunting step to take next. The medication has helped so many people achieve their goals, but the thought of not having that support and medical assistance means they're now on their own, which takes commitment and motivation. In our final episode, I am going to sit down with Dr. Sam to unpick the physical and psychological aspects of being on weight loss injections, exploring not only what it does to your body, but how you cope with the emotional journey.